Hi and welcome back to my channel. My name is Erica. We are on block number 9 of our 2023 Sew With Me series. So I can't believe we're already on block number 9. I'm having so much fun with this series and I hope that you are all enjoying it as well. If you're just joining us, the Sew With Me series is a monthly sew along here on YouTube. The patterns are totally free. You can find all the information below this video. Just click the more button or the little down arrow if you're on a tablet. You can also search my channel for block number 1. It has all of the information for the entire sew along. So that said, let's go ahead and dive right into today's block. This is block number 9. This block is so easy to put together and it's also really cute. This is of course another fun block to really play with your fabric placement on, and it can really change the look of the block. This is my 6.5 inch version block for my Christmassy version. I'm doing all my 6.5 inch blocks in Christmas fabrics, and I'm doing the 12.5 inch blocks here on YouTube in red and white. So let's take a look at our red and white block. This one is the block we will be making today. This is my red and white version, and as you can see, I really kind of did some different fabric placement here. I've got 2 darker prints right here, which really make these bits stand out, and then they kind of make it look like they're sitting on top of a ring of plaid. I think it's really cute. I love how this block turned out. It's really easy to put together. So let's go ahead and start out on today's tutorial, and I'll show you all of my tips for putting together today's block. You are going to, of course, need 3 different sizes of background fabric, and you're going to need 3 different print fabrics for this block. And then these are the 3 red prints I picked. Now the E's and F's are the same exact size, but in the pattern I have them listed as 2 different things so that you know to cut those out of 2 different fabrics, because those are these 2 right here. Don't forget to download your PDF pattern. There will be a link for it right below this video. You can always head to my blog as well, confessionsofahomeschooler.com, and just search for 2023 Sew With Me, and you'll find all of the released blocks there. So I'm going to set my pattern aside. I'm going to set my fabric aside. So we're going to start with our A squares, and we're going to trim them in half or cut them in half on this diagonal. Now when you're working on diagonals, that's actually the bias of your fabric. It is much more stretchy than working on grain, and so I highly recommend that you either start your fabric prior to cutting, or in my case I like to use this Mary Ellen's Best Press. It comes in different scents. It also comes in unscented, and this is just a starch alternative. It's called fabric sizing, but what it's going to do is give you a little bit of extra stability to your fabric, especially on pieces that you're going to be working on the bias with. And one of the cool things about Best Press is you can actually spray it at any time during the process. Starching, you have to let it dry and do all kinds of prep work to use starch. Best Press you can use at any point during your quilting process. So we're going to take our A squares, there are 4 of them here, and we're just going to set those aside for right now. Our next step is take our E squares and some of our B squares here, and we are going to sew a B square to the side of both of our E rectangles. When I come to my machine, I like to get all my pieces set and ready to go. That way I can just grab them and just run them right under the machine. Now I'm not even going to take these back to my machine or to my cutting table yet. I'm actually just going to go ahead and add the other B strips to the other side. Here are my 2 EB strip sets, and I'm actually just going to press them both going all one direction. It doesn't matter which way right now. So I've just pressed them both going towards the left. So we're going to set that strip set aside. We're going to work on our next strip set. So for this strip set, we're going to need our B squares. We're going to need our D squares. And then we are going to grab 2 of our F rectangles. So we're going to make 2 of these strips that are B, D, F, D, and B. Again, we're just going to sew them all together with a straight 1/4 inch seam, and I'm just going to bring them over to my sewing board over there. I'm just placing my pieces in order, and then I'm just going to create 2 identical strip sets. And I'm going to chain piece these together, so I'm going to do both rows at the same time. And then here are our next strip sets, and just like the other ones, I just pressed them all going one way. So I just press these both all this direction. And again, it's not actually gonna matter because these strip sets are interchangeable, so we don't have to worry about that. So we can set these to the side. Now we have one more strip set to make. So we're going to get our C square, our remaining E and F rectangles, and we're going to organize them like this. So they're going to go F and then E on the outside, and then we're going to take 2 of our A triangles and sew that to the ends. Now just one little trick on sewing these triangles to the ends. What I like to do is just take my outside piece, finger press it, and just create a little bit of a crease right there. I'll do the same thing with my triangle and just find the center of that triangle. And then when I'm adding them on, I can just line up that fold, and then I know I'm getting that triangle centered. So again, I'm going to take these over to my sewing machine, and I'm just going to keep everything in order. And we're going to sew our strip together. And again, I'm going to just take this and press all these seams going one direction. And here is our strip set. Now the next thing I'm going to do is just go ahead and trim off these little tails. We don't need those. Okay, and now we're ready to assemble our rows. So here's our center row. We're going to go ahead and just place that in the center. Next, we're going to place our DF row, and then we're going to place our B or BE row on the top and bottom, and then we're going to add our A triangles to the top and bottom. And I realize this isn't fitting on here very well, but I do want to show you something before we start sewing. Now if we turn these over, we have pressed them all going each strip going one way. So all we need to do now is nest our seams. So this top strip is going to the left, so I want to just adjust this next strip to go to the right. Our center strip goes to the left, the bottom strip goes to the right, and then the very bottom strip, goes to the left. So our seams are all going in opposite directions so that when we sew these pieces together, they're all going to nest nicely. So once you have them all going the right way, you can just flip them right back over, and I'll actually leave them on this board just like this and just take 2 rows and also these 2 rows together. Then I'll add the third middle row, then I'll add this row, and then I'll come back at the end and we'll add those A triangles. And when you do this, you can just nest these seams right here, and if you like, you can put a pin right there so that those 2 seams just line up nicely. But now we can just take this to our machine and just sew these 2 rows together. So here's our first 2 rows sewn together. Now we're going to flip this one right side down on top of here. And again, you can nest the seams. This time we have 4 seams all meeting up. And now we can add this row, and we're just going to repeat that with the remaining rows. Okay, here we are. We're almost done. We just need to add our A triangles to both of these open edges. So let's turn it back this way so you guys aren't confused. I'm just going to make a quick center fold there, and I'll just do that here as well. So now I have little crease areas where I can line those up and make sure that my center is lined up. And I'll go ahead and stick a pin there, and then we're going to take this to our machine and just add these little A triangles, press, trim, and we'll be done with this block. Alright, so here is our finished block, and now we just need to figure out a direction to press it. I usually press these little A pieces away. I guess it kind of depends. These ones got pressed in, so And then you can just press all the way across this block. You can press your seams open, whichever you prefer. Okay, and I did take this over to my pressing board and press it on my actual board as well. I always get a lot of questions about this one. This is the Quilter's Cut and Press. I got it off Amazon, but it is kind of soft. You can see me pushing down into it, and I don't feel like it gives me very good seams. And so I do recommend pressing on a better board. I just use it for my video purposes, and you can also use them for travel, but they're not the absolute best. Okay, and now we're gonna take this whole thing and we're just gonna turn it 45 degrees, just like that. And then you're gonna grab your 12.5 inch, if you have one, ruler, and we're going to trim off this block. And you're going to want to try and make sure that you have 1/4 inch away from all of your seams. You can also use these center white lines on here to line up with the diagonals on there. My block is coming up a little bit short. I need to make those A-squares just a little bit bigger, and I will make sure that's fixed in the pattern. So here is our completed number 9 block, and here is our little mini Christmas version of that block. All right, that's it for block number 9. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you're following along with us, make sure to post your progress using hashtag 2023 Sew With Me. That way we can all see what you're making and your fun color combos. Also, leave me a comment below letting me know how your progress is going. Are you enjoying these videos? Are they helpful for you? Do you feel like you're learning anything? Or is there anything I can do to improve them to help make your quilting journey a little bit easier? That's going to be it for today's video. Thank you for joining me. I'll see you next month for block number 10.